Namaste. My name is Nilesh Sinha and welcome to my channel Pilgrimage Varanasi. Today I will be taking you on a tour of Varanasi which belongs to Lord Shiva. When Lord Shiva, the mountain ascetic, left the perpetual meditation and married to Parvati, the daughter of Himalaya, he needed to find the home for two of them. Scanning the entire earth from the high Himalayan peaks, he chose the city of Varanasi, a beautiful place 5 crosha large, luminous with the countless palaces, gardens and temples. Thus, the mountain god Shiva became not only the family man but a city man, dwelling in the very center of culture. We always say Varanasi is the city of Lord Shiva. Shiva's temples are here in thousands. When you read the book of Hindu mythology, many mythological scripts evolve in different era of time. By the time the book Kashi Khanda was written, this city was developed and said to have been the original ground created by Shiva and Parvati, upon which they stood at the beginning of time when no other place existed. We can see the history of Shiva's association with the city in those myths that tells how Shiva, from his vantage point in the high Himalayas, chose this city from all the earth to be his abode. It was already the most beautiful place on earth, and it captivated the imagination of the Lord himself. This city was developed or said to have been original ground created by Lord Shiva himself, upon which they stood at the beginning of time when no other place existed. According to another mythological book, Vayu Puran, Shiva could not bring immediately his bride to Varanasi because the city was already occupied by the king Devdasa. He had to win the city first. So in the book, the story of Shiva's eviction of the king from the city has been told. Shiva summoned one of his attendants called Nikumbha and told him to go to Varanasi and to empty out the city. Nikumbha went to the city and appeared in the dream of a barber, telling him to establish and worship the image of Nikumbha at the edge of the city. The barber did this, and the Nikumbha was worshipped as the lord of Gana or Ganpati at the city gate. He was honored with incense, flowers and food offerings, and he became popular with the citizens by granting boons. He granted all earthly desires. His popularity reached to the king's wife, Suyasha as well, who was childless. She came repeatedly and worshipped Nikumbha in order to get a son. But Nikumbha did not answer her prayer, because of which King Devdas became angry and ordered the shrine of Nikumbha Ganesha destroyed. Then Nikumbha pronounced a curse upon the king and his city. Because my sacred place has been destroyed, the city shall be empty of all its inhabitation. When the city was vacant, Shiva arrived and established his residence here. Shiva and his subordinates, Ganas and Ganeshas, took over the rule of Kashi from Devdas. Apparently, Parvati was not very fond of this city initially, but Shiva said to her, I will not leave my home, for my home is never forsaken. Avimukta. To know Kashi, it is important to know something of the theology and the mythology of its Lord. Shiva is called Maheshwara or Mahadev, the great Lord, and he confounds and transcends. Shiva first appeared in Hindu mythology as a god of ambiguous nature. In the Vedic hymns to Rudra, he appears to be one whose presence is terrible as well as blessed. He is repulsive as well as attractive. He destroys and yet he creates. He wounds and yet he heals. His many weapons make Shiva dangerous and destructive as well as comforting and protective. One way of seeing Shiva is enigmatic. Many-sidedness is his many faces. Usually there are 5 faces. Faces are not entirely separate but cohere in a single image of the Lord and are movement of his activity. Number 1, creation, Srishti. Number 2, preservation, Sthiti. Number 3, destruction, Samhara. Number 4, concealment, Tribhuva. Number 5, salvation, Anugraha. Shiva's creative movement is expressed in many ways. For instance, in his dance, when he calls creation into being with the beat of his drum. His creative power is more vividly displayed, however, in the symbol of Linga, which is in one sense is erect phallus of a god who is creative, procreative and indeed erotic. There are many myths which tells of the origin of the Linga as it is worshipped here on earth. Among them are vivid myths of the castration of Shiva. The sages of pine forest castrated Shiva because they believed him to have seduced their wives. Many mythological stories are associated with Linga. The word Linga means both phallus and emblem. Another very interesting story about Shiva being the supreme of the gods. Shiva's theology is the most significant one. The story begins with Brahma, the creator, and Vishnu, the sustainer of the universe, arguing about which of them is superior or supreme. In some accounts of this myth, such as that of Kashi Khand and the Karma Puran, Brahma and Vishnu called the 4 Vedas to settle their dispute. The Vedas, however, testify one by one that neither Brahma or Vishnu but Shiva is supreme. As the two stand in disbelief, a huge column of the fire splits the earth between them and blazes up through the sky to pierce the highest heavens. Astounded Brahma and Vishnu decided to determine the source. Vishnu becomes a boar and burrows deep into the netherworlds. Brahma mounts on his goose and flies as far up as heavens reach. But even after the thousands of years, they cannot find the bottom or the top of the shaft of light. When they have returned to their starting point, Shiva emerges from the light in his partial bodied form. Vishnu honors the Lord, but Brahma is still conceited and deluded. Brahma lied about reaching the top of the light, and to support his statement, he produced a Ketuki flower as a witness. Because of his lie, Shiva punished him, and at present you will not see Brahma's temple in India in spite being a part of the trinity of Hindu religion. Now In Varanasi, it does not matter whom the temple is dedicated to. You will find a Shiva Linga in every temple over here. That is the kind of stature what this supreme power has got in Kashi. In Kashi, it has been said there is a linga at every step. Why do we worship Lord Shiva? When we think of the word destroyer, it evokes something negative. We believe Shiva is the destroyer of evil, and that is why we worship him. But by that logic, Brahma and Vishnu would be creator and preserver of evil. So that logic does not hold. What we have to understand here is what is being created, preserved and destroyed such that the destroyer and not the creator worshipped. Okay, another logic. According to Rig Veda, creation comes from iksha, desire. And if you know Buddhism, which arose 2500 years ago in India, which made the very important point that it is desire that causes suffering. And this is how Brahma, who has created everything, became associated with suffering, and Shiva became the destroyer of desire and suffering. Another way of understanding this would be Brahma created universe in the form of desirable woman to whom he himself was sexually attracted. It was more like he himself became obsessed of his own creation. And when his obsession took on dangerous preposition, Shiva has to rein him in through yoga. Shiva as the yogi may also seen as destructive. For yoga, essentially the reversal of the process of creation, the disciplined return to oneness of the evolved element of the human organism. It is said that yoga is stopping the whirlpool of the mind. Thank you very much for watching my channel. I hope you have liked what I have just presented to you. Please subscribe to my channel as well as press the bell icon so that whenever I'll upload my new video, you will come to know. Thank you very much. Thank you.